Let's move on. Microsoft.
IT.
Great. IT.
Business, school.
Business? Business school?
Yeah.
I feel like it could also be like business and school too, because it's like used for pretty much everything. In fact, I'm actually going to do that. Business and or school. What else?
A lot of tools like PowerPoint and Word and Excel.
PowerPoint, Excel. That kind of thing, right? Good one.
Xbox.
Xbox, yes. I'm gonna sneeze.
Bill Gates.
I'm not gonna sneeze. Is Xbox like all capitals? Can't remember. Bill Gates, yeah. Cool. Anything else? Do you?
The
Sorry.
Internet Explorer.
Great one. I almost forgot about that. And there's so, yeah. So let me ask you a question. As some of you may or may not know, because this is like maybe way before your time. Do you know what Microsoft is known, like Microsoft's main thing, what they started off with, was known for? Or what is, I think, like their main source of like revenue? We've already kind of touched upon it with the tools. And also in some ways, like, yeah, the operating system, because Microsoft has been known for.
It could be Windows.
Yeah. Those. And Windows is an example of software. Because at the time, software wasn't a huge thing. They came out with Windows. And I'm going to actually put down software. But Windows is kind of like what? Put them on the map, I think. Like, I think it was the beginning of, like, if we go back into the history, with the introduction of Windows, it made things, the user experience, more friendly, right? And that was a new thing at the time. And what was really interesting is that Apple and Microsoft have sort of done a dance over the years. Like, Apple had like their computers, and that their computer was supposed to be a computer for the people when they came out. Prior to that, there were like, I don't think there were any players that really were all about like being customer friendly, you know, and having an easy user experience. But Microsoft and Apple both have really fought really hard to like make things really easy for people. Okay, awesome. I think, whoa, whoops. That is a really good list for Microsoft. Coke. What do you think of when you think of Coca-Cola? Don't filter your thoughts, just whatever comes to mind.
Happiness.
Yep.
Or Santa Claus.
Me too. That's so good. They did a really good job with their Christmas campaign. I feel like a lot of people can relate to that. You know what's really interesting too is, not to cut anyone off, but when you think of winter and when you think of Christmas, you think of a magical time, right? Like it's like the songs, the just like the everything about the Christmas season is so festive and magical. And so for Coke to kind of come in there and ride that wave of the magic of Christmas, like they were so smart to do that. Because if you think about it, any other brand could have done that, but they were first and they did that, and now they've kind of clenched it, right? Anything else?
Red.
Some campaign.
Red, yeah. Sorry, that's a good one. What was the next one? Campaign?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they're known for some campaigns, some solid campaigns. And imagine like the other brands prior to this, we didn't even see videos, right? But that was all based on what you guys just remember from whatever you've already seen, right? And then the Coke one, a little bit biased because we saw the video.
Family.
Family, good one. Okay, so those are good. Oops. And then Samsung.
Good image quality.
Mm, that is true.
Samsung versus Apple.
Yep.
Price, good price.
Yeah, that's a good one. What about the products outside of image quality? What are your sorry?
Sorry, Galaxy.
Galaxy?
Like,
Yep.
yeah.
The brand that they're known for? Yeah, cool. Yeah. Who here is an Apple user?
I am.
Who's not? Okay, Ellen and Zai.
Android.
You're an Android user?
No, Samsung is Android, right?
Yes. Yes. It is. It uses the Android platform. So Google actually owns the Android platform, and Samsung uses the Android platform. Is based off of the Android platform. That's a really good one, actually, because they are very much synonymous with Android. Anything else? Okay, if not, we're going to move on. That's a pretty good list. All right. Toyota. What comes to mind when you think of Toyota? And I feel like Toyota is fairly popular in Canada, but it's even more popular in like Asia. I don't know. I'm making a guess. These are global brands.
Safety.
Safety. Okay.
SUV.
SUV. Cool.
And strong.
Strong. Yeah.
Japan.
Yeah. Anything else? Anyone own a Toyota or have a family car that's a Toyota car or ever owned one in the family? No? One more thing and then we're going to move on to the next one. What comes to mind? Toyota. Would you trust Toyota? If you were to buy a car, would you trust Toyota? Yeah, kind of.
Yes, I think it's a good car, and I believe that Toyota has a good quality.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Mercedes.
Premium.
Yeah. It's a really good one.
Luxury.
Luxury, yeah. How does seeing a Mercedes or seeing the symbol make you feel?
Classic.
Good design. Strong cars. Fly fast.
And another way to look at it is if you were to get inside a Mercedes and you were to drive it around, how would it make you feel?
Confident.
Yeah. So you notice the thought process when with what happens when we go over how we feel. So if I were to go back to any one of these brands, like Apple as an example, and I said, okay, when you see the brand Apple, how does it make you feel? If you were to have the iPhone, I don't know what model is out there now, X, and you're using it, how does that make you feel? So the whole notion of putting yourself in another's shoes, you know how when they say in order to understand somebody, right? They say that with people, right? So with brands, when you actually put yourself either in the shoes of the brand, there's a word in English is called personification, making, I believe it's called that, making an object human, it kind of gives you another perspective. Or you actually picture yourself using that item or brand or whatever, and then seeing how you feel when you're using it, then seeing what the emotions that come up are. That's another way to kind of describe a brand. In fact, I might have mentioned this in another class. I think I did. It's no different when you go to an art museum. Try this. So go to an art museum like the AGO or whatever. Not now because I don't think it's open. But when you do, go and take a look at all the different paintings and ask yourself a simple question. How does it make you feel? You don't have to know anything about the painting. Nothing. You don't have to know who the painter is. You don't have to know anything about art history. You don't have to be an artist. You don't have to know how to draw or paint or whatever. You simply need a pair of eyes and ask yourself how it makes you feel. And you're going to be able to talk about it like as if you know it. Because there's something about human emotions that allows us to be able to express ourselves a bit more than if we were to be from the head. I feel like when we ask ourselves how we feel, you're coming from the heart. And when you come from the heart, it's a little easier to express yourself. So I would actually invite you to do that in a lot of areas in your life outside of, marketing. Perfect example was when you're looking at a painting, but ask yourself how you feel, and you'll be surprised what comes up, because some people who feel that they're not able to think of descriptive words or things like that, everybody is. It's just a matter of perspective. So hopefully that helps with just being able to brainstorm some things too. And it'll help you in the development of your brand. Because for those of you who want to start your own business, and let's say you already have a product in mind, you want to ask, you can go both ways. You can ask, how do I want to make my customer feel with my brand? Or you already have something in mind, like let's say this cup, and I ask myself, how does that make me feel? And if it doesn't feel good for whatever reason, I just need to improve it. Like I just need to think about, well, what's my ideal situation? And when you conduct focus groups, so I mentioned focus groups yesterday in terms of a form of research, you're going to ask also potentially your focus group target audience how they feel about certain things, and you can show them ads, and you can ask them about how they feel about the industry in general, the existing products that are available. You can ask them how they feel about competitors. You can get so much insight. Think about the amount of insight that you can get from a competitor's customer about how they feel. So anyway, okay, we've got 2 more. It's 10:33. So let's close off on this exercise, and then I'm going to let you guys go to take a breather and take a break. But what about McDonald's?
Happy Meal.
Happy Meal, yeah. That's also one of my things that come to mind.
Hamburger, ice cream, sundae.
I feel like one right now.
I'm loving it. The
Sorry?
phrase, I'm loving it.
Oh yeah.
Ronald McDonald.
Good price.
Renata, you're loving the good prices. What did you say right before? Did you say something? Oh, fast. Okay. Yep.
Popular.
Sorry?
It's popular. You can
Oh yeah,
find
it is. Yeah.
anywhere in the world.
Mm.
It's easy to find. It's everywhere.
Awesome. Okay. Anything else?
Ronald McDonald.
Yes, I forgot about him. They don't even really use him anymore. Good one. That's how strong he was. Do they use him still? I don't even know. They used to. Okay. Okay, one more. Disney.
Dreams.
Yeah. I love how that was the first one that came up. Sorry, what?
Movies.
Movies. Okay, awesome.
Princess.
Sorry?
Princess.
Princess? Yeah.
Yeah. Orlando.
Yeah. Those are good ones too. Who's been to Disney World? Sorry, what?
Oh, Disneyland or Disney World.
Disneyland and Disney World? Yeah. Who's been to Disney World or land? No one on the call? Oh, you gotta go there one day. Put it on your bucket list. It's very magical. Can I put magical in there? I'm gonna add one. I'm gonna say magical because it is actually quite magical.
Mickey.
Mickey! Yes! I'm surprised that one didn't come up earlier. Yeah. Definitely is Mickey Mouse associated with Disney for sure. Maybe one more.
Disney Plus.
Disney Plus? Okay. Awesome. All right, we got a pretty good list here. Okay, so I am going to let you guys take a break, and then when we come back, I want to kind of discuss this list, just to recap, because I want to show you how there are some commonalities between some of these, and there's a reason why it's these 10 brands that were here is because they're top 10 in the world. So let's chat about that, and we will chat soon. All right. Okay. Let me see. It's 10, about 10:30, 10:40. Let's just do, okay, 10. Can we do 10:50? Just a 10-minute break? Is that okay? Okay. Thank you. Is that okay?
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. Okay. I keep feeling like I'm about to sneeze and it's not happening. So I'm on the cusp of sneezing. So if at some point all of a sudden I violently start sneezing, it's because I've been holding it in this whole time. All right. So prior to the break, we did this exercise in terms of just a random, not random, but a free-flowing thoughts in terms of what we think of when certain brands come to mind. So if you take a look at this list, you can see that there's been a good combination of different things. Like there's been colors that show up. So that's the category. There's been people. So with Apple, it's white, Coca-Cola, red. People, Steve Jobs, Jeff Bezos for Amazon, Bill Gates. So that's a couple of things there. Actually, I should probably make a note of this. Oh, is there a question? Okay. Okay, bye, Jenny. Thanks for letting us know. All right, so colors, people. What other categories do you see that are shared categories do you see with these top brands that came up?
Maybe feeling.
Feelings, yeah.
Products.
Sorry, what?
Products.
Products, yeah.
Quality.
Quality, yeah.
Quality.
How about these? So like taglines, phrases, let's call them phrases. not too many taglines came up, but something along those lines, I think. Anything else?
Verbs.
Verbs? Yeah.
Fields, like IT, business, or something like that.
So we've got colors, people, feelings, products, quality, phrases, verbs, fields.
Benefits.
Yep. How about service? Because there's fast delivery, find it anywhere, easy to find. What other things do you see in common in terms of, when I say icons, what is that? What comes to mind? Like, what do Disney, McDonald's, I guess Disney and McDonald's have in mind? Coca-Cola. I think one thing to build off of what you said, Esme, in terms of fields could be like type of customer or user. Because if you take a look at some of these things that were here, family for Coca-Cola, Microsoft, yeah, IT business. That could be the case as well. Actually, I'm surprised that family didn't come up for Disney. I feel like that one might be a good one. I'm actually going to add that. Okay, so I think this is a pretty good list, and it's a pretty good summary of like some of the things that come up. I think like, yeah, quality of the products, values, benefits. I think we're pretty much got a lot covered. Like, I'm going to say iconography. I think that's a word, where it's like Mickey Mouse and Ronald McDonald and those characters and stuff like that, or even Santa Claus to a certain extent. I think we've got it all covered. But I'm going to just move this up and put this all here so we don't lose sight of it. Great. Okay, so let's move on to actually something I wanted to show you earlier, but didn't, was this. I'm not going to show you the whole thing because it's like 7 minutes long and I'll eat up our time. But on your own, when you have the slides, you can also be able to access it. But I want to show you quickly how cool this is, because you can see over time how the brands shifted over time. as it goes, so I can also make use of some insights. So you see Coca-Cola's leading, Microsoft, IBM, those are very steady players, right? Notice what's happening down here too. So McDonald's is holding steady. Marlboro was going up for a little while. As the industry and as trends change, brands will also change with the times. So because people care more about their health, you almost, like, I'm almost expecting to see Marlboro go down. Like, I haven't even watched this whole thing, but like, this is where we talked about like Porter's 5 forces. Porter's 5 forces. It's something that you would keep in mind in terms of the industry and the trends and culture and stuff like that. Because those kind of things can impact your brand and what you offer and whether you need to change things up. So you see how Marlboro's like making its way down, and you've got some of the other things that are making its way up, and Coke's just a strong brand in general, but that's probably also why it's dropped over the years, is now they have to come up with healthier options, right? But the key thing is you can see a lot of the growth happening over time and things shifting based on what's happening in the world. So look at Google. Slowly inching its way up. So I'm gonna fast forward this. To that point when Coca-Cola gets superseded. And then boom, Apple's at the top. 2013. I'm gonna fast forward this on a little bit. So this takes its way all the way up until 2018. Look at Amazon gaining. It's like this race. And that, folks, was up until 2018. Can you imagine how much fun they're gonna have making it to 2021, where Zoom like cuts across all these other different brands? So it's really cool. Okay. So I want to talk about, okay, you can monitor the quality of your brand by total number of mentions and that kind of thing. Moz, SCM. So you can actually see brand mentions through various tools, social tools, and it's probably just a collective overview as well of like different things. And I'm thinking, yeah, we'll have to revisit this sometime, but Google Analytics is another way to check brand monitoring and stuff like that. But you want to be able to keep tabs on your competitors and what they're up to from a branding perspective. And sometimes brands will they will introduce different product lines under one brand. Unilever is a perfect example. It's got like multiple brands, and some of them, like I said, will do extremely well, and some of them will flop. So you don't necessarily want to. You want to have, if you're going to have multiple brands, you want to make sure your main brand is strong, and then, or if you want to go bold, you don't even necessarily mention that your main brand. Unilever did that a lot in the beginning, where they would actually mention Axe or Dove or whatever and not mention Unilever at all, in case something were to ever be associated with the high level brand, right? I mentioned Dove, and I wanted to show a couple things about that yesterday. So these are considered more like movements because you're kind of shifting the way things are seen and more of the perspective. So this was a commercial that was done a number of years ago, and I think it was shown at Super Bowl, during Super Bowl. Dove ended up doing, I mentioned the campaign for Real Beauty, and one of the things they did was they started up a fund called the Self-Esteem Fund, and is basically to contribute to building up the confidence for little girls, because there's this perception of beauty that it has to be a certain way, and so they basically started a movement. And there's different adaptations of this commercial. So if you go to Asia, there's like more of the Asian stereotypes. And the North American one is kind of a compilation of stuff. But it's really interesting to see how powerful brands can be in shaping culture. Here's another example of what they did. You can see how impactful something like that could be in like 1 minute. I'm not going to play this whole video, but when you have time,
I'm a forensic artist.
Oops. Sorry, guys. Somehow I ended up using a pointer, which I didn't even know exists. Okay.
I'm a forensic artist. Worked for the San Jose Police Department from 1995 to
I think I just put this too low on here.
I'm a forensic artist. Worked for the San Jose Police Department from 1995 to
I'm trying to access the bottom of this
2011.
video.
I showed up to a place I'd never been, and there was a guy with a drafting board.
We couldn't see them, they couldn't see us.
Tell me about your hair.
I didn't know what he was doing, but then I could tell after several questions that he was drawing me.
Tell me about your chin.
It kind of protrudes a little.
Sorry. This is what I'm forced to do. I'm forced to move this up.
I'm a forensic artist. Worked for the San Jose Police Department from 1995 to 2011.
I showed up to a place I'd never been, and there was a guy with a drafting board.
We couldn't see them, they couldn't see us.
Tell me about your hair.
I didn't know what he was doing, but then I could tell after several questions that he was drawing me.
Tell me about your chin.
It kind of protrudes a little bit, especially when I smile.
Your jaw.
My mom told me I had a big jaw.
What would be your most prominent feature?
Kind of have a fat, rounder face.
The older I've gotten, the more freckles I've gotten.
I would say I have a pretty big forehead.
Once I get a sketch, I say thank you very much, and then they leave. I don't see them.
All I had been told before the sketch was to get friendly with this other woman, Chloe.
Today I'm gonna ask you some questions about a person you met earlier, and I'm gonna ask you some general questions about their face.
She was thin, so you could see her cheekbones. And her chin, it was a nice, thin chin.
She had nice eyes. They lit up when she spoke.
Cute nose.
She had blue eyes, very nice blue eyes.
So here we are. This is the sketch that you helped me create, and that's a sketch that somebody described of you.
So yeah, that's...
She looks closed off and fatter, sadder too. The second one looks more open, friendly, and happy.
I should be more grateful of my natural beauty. It impacts the choices and the friends that we make, the jobs we apply for, how we treat our children. It impacts everything. It couldn't be more critical to your happiness.
Do you think you're more beautiful than you say?
Yeah. Yeah.
We spend a lot of time as women analyzing and trying to fix the things that aren't quite right. And we should spend more time appreciating the things that we do like.
Okay, so really, really strong message, right? Okay, now onto a different brand, which is Apple.
Today we celebrate the first glorious anniversary of the Information Purification Directives. We have created, for the first time in all history, a garden of pure ideology, where each worker may bloom, secure from the pests, obeying contradictory laws. Purification of the laws is more powerful a weapon than any fleet or army on earth. We are one people. With one will, one resolve, one cause. Our enemies shall talk themselves to death, and we will bury them with their own confusion. We shall prevail.
On January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh. And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.
So they were really bold. Like, that was also a Super Bowl commercial, but years before, where they were basically competing against what was, I would think, IBM at the time. That's kind of who they were sort of referring to. And then more recent commercial. So that's the Pro, which is like for a lot of, I guess, artists and professionals and stuff will use now. A lot of people are substituting even their cameras with their phones, right? So notice how, who wants an iPhone 11 Pro now? I know I do. But notice how they still were able to achieve that level of prestige and that premium aspect. And when you get into building out your brands, think back to the Apple commercial. Think back to this commercial and think about what they did, what their approach was when you go through all of the different motions, right? I'm going to show this one quickly because it's kind of funny. It's a parody that if McDonald's were to use Apple as a technique for branding.
We wanted to rethink food and create something extraordinary. Introducing Fry. Carefully preserving color and texture permitted our most elegant model yet. We combined multiple incarnations of oil to create an all-permeating substance we like to call smart grease. Smart grease allows the user to know exactly where Fry is or where it has ever been. Fry, enhanced food for the modern world. But that's not all. Introducing Nugget. Nugget is what happens when machinery meets meat. When you look at Nugget, you see not the contents inside, you see the breading outside. That was intentional. Inside this advanced piece of food, we can examine the complexity that makes up this product. To change the way we experience chicken is to change chicken itself. Oh, and one more thing. Mac. We have refined and refined and refined basic ingredients. The sesame seeds on the bun are there because we put them there. The feel of the mac is somewhere between firm and soft. The people who are hungry enough to eat the mac are those who do.
I thought that was just really funny.